Hi, what's up everybody? I'm going to show you how to play 10 really cool blues rock licks that are a lot of fun. They sound real bluesy and real sophisticated, so let's dive right in. So example 1 is inspired by Greg Howe, and it involves string skips and slides, and it's got a triplet feel. So a da 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 instead of a bop 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 bop. And that swinging feel is pretty cool. So we're going to start with the 14th fret of the 3rd string. That note is A. It comes from the E minor pentatonic scale, box 1. And we're going to slide out of the scale into the blue note, okay, which is the flatted 5th. If you happen to know your E blues scale, it's this really cool wrong note that just feels so right if you do it correctly. So we're going to slide into that, and then you're going to either do an upstroke or a downstroke on the 1st string, but I actually am going to use hybrid picking. So I go down, slide, middle finger pluck, and then back to the 3rd string, slide back to 14, pull off, and then we'll go to the 5th string. We'll hit the 14, slide to 16, jump to the 3rd string A, slide back to G. So here's that whole thing slow. And one more time, I'll call out what I'm doing with my picking. So I'm going down, slide, middle, down, slide, pull off, down, slide, middle, slide. Okay? You can use downs and ups. I just love hybrid picking, especially when it comes to string skipping. Okay, example 2 is outlining an E7 arpeggio because we've got a minor 3rd from the E minor pentatonic scale sliding into the major 3rd, which actually comes out of the E major pentatonic scale. So we're doing this minor and major blending. If you don't understand why or how that works, that's okay right now. Just know that it sounds really cool to use this one outside note sometimes. It's not always going to work, but in this case, it does happen to work with the backing track that we have in place. So we're going to take the 12th fret on the 3rd string and slide to 13. And then we're going to grab D on the 2nd string, and then we just do it again. But we do E at the end instead of the D. And so if you're going to use just the pick, I would do up, down, so you do inside picking. Up, slide, down, down. If you're going to do hybrid picking, then we'll do down, slide, middle finger pluck. And there you have it. So example 3 is all about phrasing. You gotta get this bend in tune, and then you want to put vibrato on top. So let's talk about the technique of bending real quick. You, for this one, want to use the ring finger, and then we're going to put the 2nd finger behind it for support. Doesn't matter if it's on the same fret, on the fret wire, or in the next fret. Doesn't matter where it is. It's not going to affect the sound. I also like to use my index finger to lay kind of flat across the other strings to act as a mute, and then my right hand palm mutes the thicker strings as well. And then my ring finger and index act to mute all the thinner strings, okay? So that I can hit all the strings if I want, and only that one note is going to ring. That kind of control over the noise is really, really important with these high gain licks. So now the other thing is when you bend, you want to keep your thumb up and you want to keep your hand kind of twisted a little bit. So I've got my index finger joint resting up against the bottom of the neck. Also, make sure that your nails are facing your audience. Your audience should be able to see your nails like you're showing them off. If they're way curled up here, you're doing it wrong. They need to be down here. You want to use the strength of your wrist rather than the strength of your fingers. So we bend up. Once you hit the correct pitch, which we're going up a whole step, so it should sound like the 16th fret when we bend that 14 up a whole step. And then once you hit that pitch, you want to employ vibrato on top of it, which is probably the most powerful move you can do. It's the most expressive thing I think you could do on lead guitar, and that is to do a bend with vibrato on top. So once you're in pitch, then do your vibrato. You can do your vibrato by either slightly releasing the bend, just barely, and then back up to pitch, back up, or you can go slightly over, release back to pitch, release back to pitch, release back to pitch. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. Watch me do this slowly. And notice I'm controlling the string noise with my my picking hand as well. If you have questions about that, that's a little bit of a harder technique. Be sure and email me or call me. Okay, example 4 is really cool. This is a Jimi Hendrix style thing where we're going to bend up with one string, but then we're going to pick the next string and come down with it like this. So I'm bending up the second string, and my ring finger naturally, as I come up, starts to grab the third string as well, because it's kind of in the way. As I start to go to the third string, I'm going to just slightly curve my ring finger tip. That's what you want to practice first. Bend up the second string, and then pluck the third string, and just make sure you can get that. Now, the real hardest part about this is getting that bend when you're coming down to keep ringing. Okay? And all I can tell you is it takes a lot of time to get used to that. I found it to be surprisingly difficult when I learned this technique. I was like, how hard can it be? And it took me a while. But it can be done. Stick with it, and you will embrace the beauteous wonder of music. I'm just rambling now. Let's go to the next one. Okay, example 5 is really cool because it goes into the second position of E minor pentatonic. You've got this little extension box. Instead of going the rest of the way up box 1, we're going to shift into box 2. And then that's our little mini playground right there. So, very important to note that the 16th fret on the third string is a grace note. You can see in the tab it's written smaller. That means you're going to jam it into the same space as the 14th fret. So it's not this, it's this. Very immediate. Okay, and then we've got the blue note again. Starting on the blue note, sliding back into the scale, and then we have that minor third to major third thing again. I love that motion of kind of going down and then up. And then ending on the root note. Example 6 can be kind of tricky. It takes a lot of repetition and just remembering the sequence of the notes. You kind of have the same sequence for the first 4, and then the next 4, and then it changes a little bit. I'm just going to show you how I'm picking this. You can do this with just downs and ups, but here's how I'm doing it. I'm going middle finger pluck, down, pull off, down, middle finger pluck, down, pull off, down, middle finger pluck, pull off, down, pull off, down. Okay? You play with that. Make sure you go slow, keep it super even, and that's example 6. Okay, example 7 is a lot of fun because I like these open strings. It makes it sound way harder than it actually is, and you can really impress people with it. All you got to do is pull off to the open strings. I would practice that first, just going... Once that's comfortable, then add in the other picks. This one you could do with all downstrokes if you wanted to. The way I'm doing it, anytime I have to do 2 picks in a row, I'm going down up, and anytime I have a plucked note to a pull-off, I'm doing it down. That's the idea with that one. Okay, in example 8, we have got a bend where you're holding another string at the same time. Very important that after you do this bend with your ring finger, it's still ringing when you hit the pinky. It doesn't have to, but I think it sounds a lot cooler that way. And of course, nice vibrato at the end of that. Don't have a whole lot else to say about that lick, so let's go to example 9. The tricky thing about example 9 is you really got to get these bends perfectly in tune. I call these the money bends. When you're in box 1 of E minor pentatonic, there are 3 really great places to bend when you're improvising, and they are the 14th fret of the 3rd string, the 15th fret of the 2nd string, and the 15th fret of the 1st string, doing whole steps. One thing that's really interesting to note is that the 1st string, you actually have to push it further than the other strings to get it in pitch. So be sure and practice playing the note that you're trying to get to. So like if I'm bending the 14, then I'm going to play 16, get the sound in my ears, and then do the bend. Same thing with 15th fret on the 2nd string. I want to play the 17, and then bend. And then on the 1st string, I'm going to play the 17, and then bend the 15. And you'll hear, as you listen, this is a great ear training exercise. As it comes into tune, that 1st string, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I have to push this way further than the 2nd and 3rd string. So even though it's thinner, I believe it has more tension on it, which is why you have to do that. I don't know, I'm guessing. But for sure, I know you do have to push it further. And then you have little dots on beat 2 of each measure. So you can see above the 15 and the 12 in the first part of the example. Those little dots mean staccato. So you're going to kill the notes in between. And the way I do that is I pluck and then I karate chop. That's a great exercise. Just practice. And building up that coordination and that speed. But don't try to go too fast, too early. Just... And so instead of this, you get this. Okay, so not staccato. Staccato. It's a very subtle difference, but man, it makes all the difference in the world with this lick. Example 10 I came up with when I could not play the intro to Eric Johnson's Cliffs of Dovers properly. He goes back and forth between strings 1, 2, and 3 super quickly, doing something kind of like that, and I'm just not that good at it. However, what I am pretty good at is my fretting hand legato. So I thought, well, instead of playing E on the 1st string, I'll play it on the 2nd. And then I realized I could just plant my index and my middle finger and go. It sounds kind of nasty slow, but if you play it fast, the way the notes bleed together, it's fine. And I'm doing inside picking for this one. You could do hybrid picking, but I'm going down, up, so I'm always picking on the inside. And that's it. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed these 10 blues rock licks. Be sure and practice along with the backing track. And then try practicing with some other tracks as well, and try just jamming at different tempos and combining these licks in different ways. And as always, reach out to me if you have any questions. See ya!